talk about active listening, the most profound aspect of active listening is change behavior.
Yes.
So we cannot say, I hear you and do absolutely nothing, because that proves you didn't hear one thing that I said, especially if you're telling me I'm as important as you told me that I was, because I believe you until your behavior shows up. Once your behavior shows up, I believe the action more so than the words. So both men and women have to be okay with someone else expressing their emotions. The person that expressed themselves, they have to get to the point where it's not a tornado that's happening while I'm talking. You know what I'm saying? You can be expressive, passionate is what I call it. You can be passionate and not destructive in
Yes.
conversation.
That's
That's the
good.
key.
Say that one more
Say it
time.
again. All right. You can be passionate and not destructive. Destructive, nobody wants to respond to. I just want to go in the corner and cover up until it's over with. Men are the same way. We're no different. I don't want to deal with that. And I know if I do it, I know you don't want to deal with it either. So let's express ourselves, because your emotions are important. It helps me to understand the severity of the situation. So let's express ourselves in a passionate way, not a destructive way.
That's good. This is a good conversation.
Of
This
course it
is
is.
good.
I know when I told you, when you said it, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be good. I'm ready for it. Excited."
Yeah,
I had
it's
like 3 cups
good.
of coffee. And I'm joking. And I wore my man shirt for it too, just so that you know.
Okay.
Part
You,
myth, part legend. Oh man, I'm just.
I see what you did. You didn't
but
wear
but
actual cape, but you letting us know.
you know what? You took your cape off last conversation, but that's all right. You're right about that. But this is the thing. This is the most important thing I want to say, because I don't want to ever leave any conversation I have, especially this conversation. I think this conversation is great. I don't want to leave any conversation I have with the us versus them mentality. There's no
Right.
such thing as a us versus them. It's us being better so that we can support them on both
I like
sides.
that.
That's
That's
how it
good.
should be. It's us
Right.
being better so we can support them. I don't want to suppress any woman out there. I think every woman is beautiful and amazing within their own right. The problem is that society has created such a rift between man and woman that we really believe it's us versus them. That's the narrative that
Yes,
we have to get rid of, because it's unhealthy.
it is, and it creates this. It's a toxic war that now it's a gender war. I'm better than you. Well, first
Right.
off, how am I better than a man? How is a man better than me? I'm the best version of myself, and I'm praying that the person I'm with is the best version of themselves. So when we come together, we're just packed with power.
Right.
So it's
Absolutely.
not a, oh, you did more than me, or oh, I'm doing more than you type of thing. It's because again, it'll flow differently at times where you're doing a whole lot and the other person is just in chill mode until the next opportunity comes. But while you're in chill mode, you're learning, you're building, you're refining. And it's
Right.
not a, well, this is what I'm doing. It's not a tit for tat. So I like what you said, that it's not a us versus them. It's a, how can we help? How
Right.
can we help each other?
Yeah.
Because it is this dynamic and
It
this
is.
dialogue that's out there that, oh, we don't need them. Oh, you know, you've seen TikTok.
Oh
You
yes.
know exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, absolutely. And here's what I like what you said, right? You made mention, so you brought ego into the conversation a few minutes ago, and then you kind of spun off of what I just said, and I think you're absolutely right. So the ego within that space that combats the teamwork will say, I need you to praise me every time I do something good. How about I do it first? So if I understand the team, because the Bible says, "Husband, get along with your wives according to knowledge." That means I understand you, I study you, I watch you, I observe you, so I understand where you're good at. So I set the conditions to put you in a position to where you excel. Therefore, when you excel, that's my woman right there. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm lifting you up. I'm praising you. Why? Because I knew you would be good at this. Well, that's the thing. And here's the other part. You're going to have to trust me that I know that. So if I put you in a position to where you excel, it may be a bit outside of your comfort zone, but that's for your own good, because that's where your greatness lies. Within
Right.
the scope of your, see, this is the thing we don't like to talk about. We talk about it from a personal development standpoint, but what about from a team building standpoint? If you put me in a position to where it might be a little outside of my comfort zone, like you mentioned previously, that you may have to work a little late and then you're like, hey, I'm gonna need you to do this right here. But you're not gonna ask me to do something that you don't believe that I can do. It may be
Right.
outside of my comfort zone. Hey, I don't really cook like that. Well, go in there and do some hamburger helper. Do something, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Do something. And then you'll find that, man, this is the best hamburger helper I ever had. Like, really, woman? But I appreciate what you're doing, man. You know?
Look, I'm building you up.
Exactly. Okay, so let's be real. Them jar of pickles that you claim you couldn't open, we know this. We know what it is. And we come in there, buffed up and get them pickles. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, man, really? You been working out? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We know the game. It's the same thing. The only thing is we don't look at it that way because in our own selfish nature, we think you were put here to praise me. But that's not how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to uplift one another. And the more I uplift you, then when it becomes a thing of reciprocity, now what you're seeing is the team working together. So the stages of team development, right? So you have forming, storming, norming, and performing. So once we get past the storming stage where we're fighting for our coats dynamics, right? So the way my mom and daddy did things, once we figure out, like you said, which part of it we're going to bring into this team, now we get to the forming, storming, norming. When we get to the norming stage, I'm sorry, I had a brain cramp. We get to the norming stage. Once we get to the norming stage, it becomes a orchestra of reciprocity. I give you, you give me. I give you, you give me. Then we get to the performance stage. We start looking for reasons to uplift the other person. That's the thing that most people never get to, because they go back and forth from storming, norming. Why? Because something in the dynamics changed. We moved, we go back to storming. We changed jobs, we go back to storming. One of the kids just left to go to college, we go back to storming. Why? The team changed. Every time the team changes, you go back to storming because you got to go back to the table and figure it out. So we never get to performing because we never get to that orchestra. We never get to that orchestra where I give you, you give me. And then we look for the reasons to do so. Hey, you know what? Anita can do that. Hey, I just seen this thing. You wanna do this right here? Well, I don't know. What? You know what? Yeah, I trust you. I can do that. Yeah. And I'll be with you to help you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't know if you listen to T.D. Jakes. T.D. Jakes said that his wife was committed to his ministry, and once they could do it because they seen the other parent do it. That was me. Because it was to a certain degree to where it's a lot of points where I was called upon. Now, again, this is still within the scope of my unknowing. Because again, I think this is what men's supposed to do. We're supposed to be fixers of problems. That's what I believe. So whenever you had a problem, if you told me about it, you wasn't telling me about it because you want to have conversation. You was telling me about it because you want to fix it. That's what I believed. I was so wrong. As I started getting older and wiser, I realized that you have the ability to fix it. You just want to have conversation with me. And me in my own shallow mind, egocentric thinking, I'm Superman. I'm going to fix it like you just mentioned. And I'll be honest with you, there were times I was even called the Superman in the house because that's what I did. I fixed problems. I solved. I was good at it. That's what I did for a living. So do I believe at points in time I was viewed as a bank? Absolutely. Absolutely. Only because the other stuff was lacking. See, if the other stuff was present, I would never have viewed that. I would have viewed it as just me being there for my children, me being an active part in, whatever it is they're doing. It's what I want to do because I want them to succeed at life, period. Whatever it is they want to do. My daughter wanted to play soccer one time. Man, I was a proud father. I know my baby didn't want to play no soccer, but she told me she wanted to play soccer. So we going to Dick's Sports, and I bought up all the soccer stuff in there. She looked like literally a walking role model for soccer, advertising all the new stuff. But that's what I did. Next year, she didn't want to play soccer no more. So I had a whole bunch of junk that I bought that just sat in the corner. It was okay. Fast forward, where dad is no longer in the house. The phone calls aren't coming. The text messages ain't coming. You know what I'm saying? No, hey, I just want to check on you and see how you're doing. But the phone rang. Hey, what's up, Dad? Not much. Hey, I got this thing coming up. Can I get, will you send me, Yeah,
Wow.
how about how
How
you
about,
doing?
hey, how you doing?
Yeah, exactly. So
What
sure,
you been up to?
exactly. How are you doing? Stuff like that. But again, that goes back to what is learned,
Hmm.
right? And so if you're not teaching them how to be relational, right, then they won't be relational. Again, relational just simply means how we relate to someone else. Well, if the way that I relate to someone else is through their ability to empower me, then if that's how I'm going to view everybody, therefore I start, instead of being relational, I become more manipulative. Therefore,
Mm,
I start being very selective with the people I surround myself with, because each person that's with me, they talk great about me, and they make me feel good about myself.
hmm.
That was one of the things that I've seen and didn't really like it, and I addressed it. And just being honest, it wasn't. It, I don't think the conversation went well, but for me, I think it was important to have the conversation, because now the awareness sets in. And even if you didn't like it, that's okay. I was just sharing it. I wasn't trying to convince you, just something for you to take a look at.
Hmm.
So to again, getting back to your question, the answer is yes, but only once the dynamics changed. And I even
Right.
had the conversation about teamwork. Say, hey, we got to do this together. It's me and you, Batman and Robin. You know what I'm saying? Nah,
Hmm.
that didn't work out either. So Batman and Robin, they weren't the Cape Crusaders anymore. They're just on a crusade. Yes,
I
ma'am.
like what you said. And that the reason why I asked the question is because I noticed that my daughters, at some point, they were texting. I would say, "Hey, are you communicating with that?" Now, again, we weren't together,
Right.
but I still want them to have a relationship with him. That's not based on, "Can you buy me this?" Um, "Can I have this?" So I would remind them, "Hey, make sure you text him. Call your dad just to ask him how he's doing." I said, because I know if it were me, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't just want to hear from you anytime, only time you needed something.
Right.
Ask me how I'm doing. So just knowing that I didn't want them to have that type of relationship, and these other things, I know I didn't have to do that, but
Yeah.
I'm looking at it as, even though we're not together, this is still a person. This is still your father. Now,
Right.
we may not have gotten along well, but you're his daughter, and out of respect him as your father,
Mm-hmm.
call him, text him, ask him how he's doing. You don't
Yeah.
need to always, hey, can I have, can I get, can, and I think that shifted. And that was probably like when they were 13, 14. I was like, no, I don't want y'all just to be calling
Right.
when you want something, because I'm not going to get it for you. That doesn't mean, well, I'm going to call daddy and see if no, you should already be communicating. So to see
Absolutely.
their relationship now where they have good communication is like you said, you do what they do, what they're taught.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I'm teaching them, hey, only call, or I'm not saying anything,
Yeah.
like, you know, it's not right. You wouldn't want
Yeah.
to be treated like that.
Absolutely.
So if you know you wouldn't want to be treated like that, what is it going to hurt you besides your ego
Yeah.
to say, hey, make sure you call him just to say, hey, check on
Yeah.
him, see how he's doing, versus, can I have?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I speak for a majority of the men out there. We would give our children the shirt off our back. It's just what it boils down to. Just because we want them to be great at life. We want them to have every opportunity, number one, that we can afford to give them, and every opportunity that we never had. So it's a whole lot of teaching that a lot of these men have within them that they're just itching to share with those kids. And
Right.
because they are, and I think I'm okay by saying this, and you can shoot me if I say something wrong. Well, not necessarily shoot me, but you know what I'm talking about.
I
So
got you.
so but because the children carry the hurt of their mother, because the relationship didn't work out, because of unnecessary conversation that took place behind the father back, then that child does not give the father the opportunity to have those conversations. And I think I need to say that again, because it was one of those things that was very eye opening to me. Unnecessary conversations with a child about a relationship that's not their business would actually have the child to carry the same pain that you have without the experience. They have their own trauma, by missing their father, or in some cases by missing their mother. Whatever the dynamics were between that personal relationship is not a conversation piece for you and your child. Because the only thing that you're doing is you're passing along the hurt. And I tell you how. We like to highlight our experiences, right? And, our experiences are important, but here's the best thing about it. My experiences for me. I have 24 years of Army experience, and I cannot view anybody through the lens of those 24 years. Those years were for me to learn lessons about me. That's it. But what I've learned is that most people want others to honor their experience. That's called manipulation. What we were supposed to do, we were supposed to learn about ourselves in the space of that experience so that we can be better beyond that experience. So when the relationship didn't work out, I had no right relaying the pain of the experience to the child. Because when I do that, what I'm now doing is I am preventing the child from having the perfect experience with the other parent. That father didn't divorce the child, he divorced you.
Right.
That mother didn't divorce the child, she divorced you. So what we have to understand is that I got it, it didn't work, I'm sorry, what did I need to learn about myself within that space? However, and I'm not saying that this is a perfect fit. This is a majority, right? This is not, this scenario I just gave does not fit perfectly for everybody. So I don't want to lump everybody in the same bag. But we have to understand we can still learn something about ourselves in the midst of adversity. But when we start relaying the pain to that child, we are making it possible for them to suffer, because that child would then deny the other parents through the lens of the custodial parent pain. That's wrong. And the other parent, and this is the other part I want to say, because I'm on the other side, right? So the parent without the child, they will start to second guess themselves, even though they know they made the right decision to divorce that parent or whatever the case may be. But they will start to second guess themselves because they so greatly miss their children. And they will start to second guess, like, maybe I should go back. And then a light bulb come on, like, no, I'm not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Sorry, I was in a dark place right now. I'm good. I had to walk it off.
You woke up.
But that's reality though. There's no, again, I hate using terms of absoluteness, right? But I believe there's no father who does not long to spend more time with their children. That's just my core belief. Now, I got it. No is absolute, but I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I like what you said. We as parents, we're not to have this conversation, and that's something that I decided not to do with my daughters. There was no reason for me to do that. I don't need them. It's almost like we're trying to get the children to buy into our pain, right? So we're trying to get them to buy into our pain and why, they should be upset with the parent that left. That's a burden you don't want to place on the child, because, like you said, they're already dealing with the trauma of the separation.
Right.
Now you're adding on top of that your own trauma.
Yeah.
And these are burdens that they're not built to carry as children.
Right.
They're not built to carry that. And then this creates other issues as they continue to grow. Now they have to do a reversal of releasing these things that you did to them. Society is already bad enough when they get out into the world. But now think about, you're the one who added this extra trauma.
Yeah.
This extra baggage. Now they got to go to therapy and unpack it. My mom said this about my dad, or my dad said this about my mom.
Right.
When you could have just, like Heather Lindsay said, you could have just practiced the spirit of shut up. But you want to get some buy-in. You want the kids to be on your side. Well, first off, they're not your equal. Are you not the head of the household? Do you really need the buy-in of a child?
Right.
No, you don't. So when you said that, it just automatically made me think of, we just, it's burdens that we're placing on our children. And this is not everybody, but those are not burdens that they're too heavy for them to carry.
Absolutely. Man, I'm so loving this. Listen, we're at the hour mark. I want to keep going, man, but listen, I got to let you go do some other stuff with your day because you're in celebration mode. And I just appreciate you for just allowing us to just kind of jump in for a moment. But before I let you go, I did mention it. Would you kind of share with us what you're celebrating, by the way?
Absolutely. So I do photography, public speaking. Um, I have a online store called Keeper Clothing, as well as a physical book and an ebook. So I wanted to make sure that everyone who were asking the questions, how can we get it? They can go to one location. So I had a website built, which I'm very, very proud of. And that's why it says Onita V at the bottom instead of Onita Simpson, because my website is onitav.com. So that way people they can find it easily. So celebrating the launch of my website, as well as I re-released my first ebook, but the Lord pressed upon me to add perspective
Mm.
because I wrote it in 2019. And when I wrote it, it was from one side, but then as years have gone, I've gotten some perspective on it. And
Yeah.
he pressed upon me, hey, I need you to add more to this. And I was able to add some of my photography work in it. So when you purchase, you'll see photos, and that's my own work because I believe in all the gifts that the Lord has blessed me with. And just to be able to share perspective as well as things that I see through my eyes and sharing it with other people. So that's what I'm celebrating here in DC. Um, and I'm excited to share it with you all.
I love it. I love it. So there you heard it firsthand. Go to anitav.com so that you can see the great and wonderful work that she's seeing, that she is putting out there. Again, you see she is an awesome personality, a great conversationalist, and just stay tuned because there's more to come from Miss Onita V as the months go. Again, I hope this information helps. If you have questions, if you want to just kind of inject a few questions in our future conversations, by all means, don't hesitate to send me a message on, I don't care where I'm at, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, whatever other stuff out there, But if you want to just keep it simple, go to dwayne.g.dwyer@gmail.com. That I get that instantly to my phone, and I make sure that I add that to our conversation piece. Again, go to anitav.com. You can see all of her great, wonderful. Buy her books. Buy the ebook. Buy the book that she's a group author on. Again, all of this stuff will help you. You hire her to come and speak at your event, right? Just hire her to come take pictures of it. Whatever. Listen, she's awesome. You see it yourself. Anita, I appreciate you. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of your day and take just a snippet into your celebration. Again, continue blessings to you, and we will do this again.
Thank you so much.